Pouce Coupe Debate. Here's the recording.
We're going to get going here. As soon as everyone grabs a seat, we'll get all our candidates. So the one, that's it. Well, no worries. We're going to wait, obviously, that some of the people that are struggling in here to hear these people not me, so I can certainly start talking. Of course, it saves all these people saying later, or I'm sure you need to, of course. I'll be the special master MC this afternoon and evening. For those that like these types of debates, we're going to be having one chat at the Olympic Center tomorrow with Darcy Gilbert and Shane Gilbert for Dawson Creek. And then next Tuesday at the same location with all the city council candidates in Dawson. I'm going to do a quick introduction here, and then it's already on line. We just roll the 10-sided dice to determine the order of the speakers here. And it's moving around simply because of the some emergency situations that we have with a couple candidates. We're going to have a photographer walking around here who's currently standing directly behind me, so move around, please. And then, roughly 3 minutes introduction. Obviously, don't push it past about 3 minutes, 30 seconds, otherwise we can just stop. And feel free to speak at your chair or come on up here. That'll take us to about 7:30, and then we'll do about 20 minutes of questions from myself to individual candidates, try to get everybody. And then we're going to turn it over to everybody in the audience. And just a reminder to everybody in the audience, try to get to the questions very quickly. You don't need a lot of background or setup, just get us with the question. And obviously the questions, the more people can answer, the better. Obviously, if you want to hear it to every candidate on here, that's how long it's going to take. If we can keep our answers to about 30 seconds to a minute, not longer, especially the ones coming from the audience, that would be fantastic. And then we're going to do closing remarks, and then it's going to go in the same order as the opening remarks. So the first speaker is going to go first, and so on and so forth. I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, and that's going to be Edmund Boyer. Where do you go?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ed Boyer. I'm running for the mayor of the village I grew up in, spent most of my life in, and most importantly, a place I love to call my home. I'm not a politician. I'm not someone who's giggly and bubbly, afraid to make hard decisions because I need everyone to like me. I'm a person who likes to research, plan, and try to know all the facts before I act. Also, I can say I'm willing to compromise. If I'm presented with an argument that is basic facts and personal experiences and knowledge, I can put my ego aside and admit that I'm wrong, then fully support that idea. A bit more about my background. I worked many years in construction as a carpenter. I pulled boards off a chain in the sawmill in Chapel. I went to school while working in that sawmill, getting a background in social work, which I later applied to for a job at Catholic Social Services. I worked there for a few years. Also working at that sawmill, I enrolled in computer training, learning all I could about network servers and online security. I recall one of my first bosses in the field of computers remarking on how he was impressed and slightly envious of all the letters I had behind my name. Personally, never gave much thought to that. My background and training in computers brought me to our neighbor, Fort St. John, where I worked for a service company for the oil and gas sector, Tim's production department. At this point, I honestly can't say the village spending bothered me as I was living in Fort St. John and have a fairly affluent lifestyle. That was prior to becoming very ill and diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was forced to use up both my regular savings and my retirement savings. I was also taught how to get by on very little money, and then a couple of amazing doctors in town here gave me a surgery, and my Crohn's is now in remission. I now work at Northern Lights College in Dawson Creek as a technician. The past few years, I very loosely follow politics, not really caring to get involved in it, mostly because of how much value I put in my free time. This was before my home, the village I grew up in and loved so much, was put on the international spotlight. Not for a great accomplishment to be proud of, but something that was shameful and embarrassing. It was then that I started paying attention to the council meetings, the spending of millions of dollars. I don't see a lot of improvements happening to our infrastructure. I see a couple of paved streets, see a couple of blocks of sidewalks. You know, it's not a whole lot. I went to a recent meet and greet, and I mentioned that I was concerned about the sewer. And I got a giggle and a smile from Councillor Beach when I asked about polluting the river, and she said, "Oh, we've gotten a couple of warnings, but we haven't got a fine yet." You know, and I can honestly say that I'll give them a clap. They allocated a bit of spending towards that lagoon, but it's just a band-aid. It's not the fix it needs. I guess I'm running short of time. I made it a little bit long here, but I hear the village, they just keep saying, I'm going to spend this and that. Every time it's $25,000. That's $80 a piece for 300 houses. You know, and there's too many $80. We've got a food bank in this town. That tells me a lot of people are struggling, you know, and this winter, gas is at $7. It's usually sitting around $3. And people are going to be struggling to choose between heat and feeding themselves. And, you know, I really can't see that. I got to support lower taxes, keep the taxes low.
That's 8. Come on, up next is Councillor Candidate Rayne Johnston. Need the mic or? Yeah, you want to sit there? You can do it.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. Right.
Hello, my name is Rayne Johnston. I've lived in Pouce for probably about 20 years now. I have been on council once before, so I do know the work. It's a small village. Done a lot of community work around Pouce. I've built floats for parades and worked with the museum. Raised a couple of girls, put through the Pouce Coupe Elementary, and I'm going to have more coming. I'm passionate about Pouce and just like to help out and do my part. Thank you.
Oh, you've done this before, you should be nervous.
Can everybody hear me out there? Yes. Just to let the gentleman here know, I have timed my speech. It takes 4 minutes. But before I begin the time of my speech, I would like to start off my presentation by acknowledging that we are located on the indigenous traditional territory of the Treaty 8 First Nations. In our area, that is the Banisa and Nahiwaki Nations. In English, that is the Beaver and the Cree Nations. I would also like to pay recognition to the fact that this is Truth and Reconciliations Week, where we remember and pay tribute to the thousands of children lost to residential schools. That's why I'm wearing a t-shirt. In honor of that, I will ask those that can stand, that we stand in silence for 30 seconds, please. Thank you very much. Thank you for your respect, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry my time now. I grew up in Pouce Coupe. My whole family has lived here for almost 50 years. We call this our home. I'm a Pouce Coupe boy. I was here for a long time. I'm a dad to 2 intelligent, beautiful girls. I live a clean life, free from alcohol and drugs. I'm a musician and a cultural advocate. I'm a Treaty 8 status member. Here's what I think is important to Pouce Coupe. There are 3 tiers of priority to this village. The first tier of priority is its infrastructure. The roads, water, and sewer, those need to be maintained in order for the village to function. Common sense. The second tier of priority are the services that Pouce Coupe provides its citizens. There's the fire department, the community center, the businesses that bring in revenue and create jobs, and the social and education institutes. Those serve the community directly. The third tier priorities are everything that's not in the first or second tier. For example, skateboard park, walking trails, and any third tier projects cannot take first and second tier priorities. Basic rule of finance. The village stewards, the people you're going to vote in, are elected to maintain the community infrastructure, the community resources, and to practice fiscal responsibility according to the level of priority. Tier 1 infrastructure spending needs to come before Tier 2, and Tier 2 spending needs to come before Tier 3 spending. The ability of the village to maintain its infrastructure and services is dependent on its finances. Those finances come from many sources, one being its local economy. And for that local economy to prosper, having a positive image is important. Another source of funding for the village is oil and gas industry, and that industry is strongly tied to Indigenous representation. So, having a good working and social relationship with Treaty 8 nations has an effect on the opportunity for prosperity for Pouce Coupe. For the past 18 months, Peace Region politicians and Indigenous leaders have demonstrated the need for healing between the community of Pouce Coupe and its Peace Region neighbors. Major corporations such as BC Hydro, LNG, and Fortis, just to name a few. Just to name a few, promote hand-in-hand ventures with Indigenous communities. The Indigenous nations are becoming more and more influential in the operations of all oil and gas companies working within Treaty 8 territory. That's Pouce Coupe. It's gone off a little bit, but we're in there. So, in this time of reconciliation and healing, having a positive relationship is critical to the growth and prosperity of Pouce Coupe. The last line of a statement made on March 1st, 2021 by the Treaty 8 Tribal Association of the Village to the Village of Pouce Coupe reads as, "We would be pleased to meet with the Pouce Coupe Council to discuss how we can work together to build a prosperous future for our respective communities." End quote. The Peace Region municipalities and Indigenous leaders will embrace a First Nations person being voted into the Pouce Coupe Council, and the village will benefit from it. My knowledge of Indigenous issues is extensive. I facilitate an educational workshop on it. So when it comes to lobbying for grants and projects that may become available through Treaty 8 Indigenous business developments, that works in your favor. Any funding that the Pouce Coupe can access because of that will maintain the priorities of the village. With the consent of Mayor and Council, if I'm voted in, I would like to take on the oil and gas industry portfolio. And if that is granted to me, my first initiative will be to reach out to Treaty 8 Tribal Association and invite their representatives to a formal meet and greet to discuss what they would like to see in terms of working together on projects such as the proposed North Winds Healing Center and Pouce Coupe's inclusion into any future business developments. This is an opportunity for Pouce Coupe to regain its reputation of inclusion and diversity. Consider my contribution to the council as a means to weave our cultural interests and our communities together. Both sides can benefit by working together rather than struggling separately. Thank you. This is all the council. Thank you very much. Next is Rayne.
Hi everybody, I'm Mayor Petty. Thanks for coming out tonight. I was asked to run in 2016 and 18. It was to restore accountability, fiscal responsibility for the village of Pouce Coupe. This mandate of responsibility continues to this day. This current council is about personalities and accepts the disruption democracy, your choice for mayor both in 2016 and 18. Since 2019, two councillors, Ms. Smith and Ms. Hebert, have taken to voting to be vindictive against matters I support, to including the fire hall, fire service, and the volunteer that come to our rescue 24/7, the Pouce Coupe July 1st party in the park, and much, much more. Ms. Smith and Ms. Hebert have consistently wasted council's time, taxpayers' money. They have been on council longer than all of us combined. Councillor Smith is a former mayor and has been collecting a paycheck from the village going back 20 years. For these career councillors to not know what Pouce Coupe Fire Department services show what their commitment to the village is, they have no clue what is going on and don't even attempt to rectify it. Their lack of interest indicates they are not engaged in council business. I see what I mean what I say, and I stand behind it. This is what accountability is. In February and October 21st, the council violated the community charter and tried to have my powers as mayor removed. Currently, they are attempting for the third time to have a Supreme Court judge overturn what has already been ruled twice before the council is violation, and it's time to move on. Two Supreme Court judges ruled on both occasions that council had broke the community charter, and both judges restored my powers. Pouce Coupe voters need to vote in new blood that is willing and committed to do their job, to follow the bylaws and the community charter and the policies.
Point of order. Point of order. Is this a forum to, is this an all-candidates forum? Is this a forum?
Pouce Coupe has been called one of the most progressive villages in Canadian National. Let's get back to that. Let us look at building more equity to Pouce Coupe by partnerships with CN, supporting seniors housing, little houses, and the swimming pool in the village. One more. Simply low-cost projects that are listed on my pamphlet would give us provincial and national attention that we should be focusing on in building the village. Let us put Pouce Coupe on the map to be the best place to live. My dedication in Pouce Coupe is unwavering for the residents and uncomparison when it comes to representing Pouce Coupe at the PR level and abroad. It will continue for 2022 and 2026. It is time to turn the page on this chapter. Start a new one, vote McKinney, and you know where I stand on issues. I won't sugarcoat it or politic it. And if you don't know me, ask me. Thank you.
Facilitator, point of order. This is an all-candidates forum. It's not a forum to discredit other candidates. I think that should be set. Maybe if those candidates that are going to do that, maybe save that for question period.
Those candidates.
If those candidates would like to rebut anything that's said by any of the other candidates, they can certainly do that at the Q&A and the vote, for sure. Up next is also for mayor, running for mayor, Danielle.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Beach, and as some of you may remember, I was elected last October in the local by-election. Since that time, I've had the opportunity to take part in restoring our community and infrastructure. Some of the major projects completed were updating our street lighting for the safety of our community members and to help deter theft and crime. Our lighting used to be so dark that my neighbor had to walk home with a flashlight. Paving and road repair. One of the biggest complaints, and one of mine as well, is our roads. And I was delighted to see repairs made, and I hope to see more done in the future. Three-phase power was installed in our fire hall. This power is used for the PPE cleaning system, and I'm happy to say it will soon be up and running for the safety and efficiency of our firefighters. We installed a 74 exit in our fire hall. It was identified, by the fire service review that this exit needed to be added for the safety of our chief and volunteers. And I'm pleased that I was on council at this time to help get these safety measures completed. Future projects that are still ongoing within our village for the next mayor and council consist of our biggest one, our $3 million lagoon project. This project involves repairing lagoon cells 3 and 4, removing vegetation that is undermining the structure of these cells, reinforcing the embankment walls to stop leaking or collapse. This project is vital to meet the Environment Canada guidelines, as well as the development and updating of our emergency response plan. This is also a major item because of the extreme heats that we've been experiencing over the past few years. We need to look at ways of maintaining the safety of our aging population, who often fall victim to these drastic temperatures. As well as, in November, our Peace River Rural Fire Protection Agreement. This Peace River Regional District Agreement is one of our largest supporters when it comes to our volunteer fire department, and working with them is crucial for the future of our department. So now on to the big question. Why mayor? Why would I be a good choice? Well, for starters, some of the reasons I've just listed. We have some major projects coming up, and the knowledge I've gained over the past year would be valuable to that decision-making process. Since I was a child, I also felt a deep connection to Pouce Coupe, so much so that when it came to raising my own children, I knew that this is a place I wanted to establish roots. There is no place in this community that doesn't spark a memory in my mind. Remembering the joy I felt when I got to bang on drums in the old music store on the corner as a child, or hearing the good news of the prospect of the Pouce Pub being even opening back up, so I could sit one day, have a beer, and once again picture my pops up there singing Brown Eyed Girl. There are so many bits and pieces of this small community that help shape who I am today. And that's why I hope they will do for our kids and our grandkids. I want memories of our community to be something that they take with them wherever they go. A place that feels like home from every corner. How do I plan on making my dream a reality? Firstly, I would like to bring our residents back together again. Young or old, I know our village is craving a sense of unity, and if I had the opportunity to take part in restoring that feeling during this year's 10th Day event. We are very lucky to have not only a beautiful park down the road, but also an amazing community center that for the past 4 years has barely been used. I would love to bring joy and light back into this center. Secondly, I will work towards the community sustainability through tax incentives for development of our industrial area and business frontage. It wasn't all that long ago that Pouce Coupe had a thriving business community which included hardware stores, gas stations, music shops, restaurants, and more. Currently, our village is living off of our fair share money. This money has been set aside by the province to cover our capital and infrastructure projects. Due to our provincially low taxes, we've become reliant on this money to fund the majority of our village's overall costs. Thirdly, I'd like to bring a sense of family back by upgrading our parks and our infrastructure. I've heard some people say, but don't we have enough parks? And to that I say, have you ever driven through Valhalla? It's a small hamlet across the border towards Grand Prairie. Every time my family drives through there, my children are jumping at the windows to play at their amazing local park. It has a huge pirate ship and it's amazing. And like most families driving through Whitefort, where do we all stop with our kids for lunch? Rotary Park. A beautiful family-friendly area with picnics, playing, and large family gatherings. I'm not talking about building more parks, but you must admit our main parks could use some TLC. And that TLC could lead to families stopping in our community, visiting our museum, eating in our restaurants, walking our streets, and maybe even calling us home. Pouce Coupe once aspired to be the hub of the North. It was a place where families couldn't wait to set down roots. And if elected mayor, I would like to restore our community's reputation as family-friendly, inclusive, and forward-thinking. Thank you.
Track 2 for Tech 3. Up next, Bill Lowry.
This is real quick, what she said. Sorry. My name is Bill Lowry. I'm a resident of Pouce Coupe. Been here for 10 years. Former mayor, ex-firefighter. I shouldn't say ex-firefighter, retired firefighter. Turned around and improved performance previous. Had a good council to work with. We've got an election coming up. I just want to turn around and entice everyone to get out and vote. We need more voter turnout. We need all these issues, repaired in our village. I'm not going to turn around and repeat everything 25 times. I'm not here to bash anybody. I just want people to come out and vote. You've got the options. Your choices are here. Make your choice. Thank you for the opportunity.
next courtesy for them.
Come sooner than you think, honestly. I've been enjoying everyone speaking. So, thank you everyone for coming out to listen to community members and participate in the duty of democracy. So thank you all for being here, first off. So, I'm Curtis Rattle. I was born in Calgary, but I grew up in Cochrane. So it's a medium-sized town just in southern Alberta. I had the chance to live in GP for about a year. It wasn't my flavor, honestly. I hopped across the line, fell in love with Pouce. I love this place. It's like what it was when I was a kid. You know, people together in their community having board game nights in their houses, right? You walk down the street, you can see families playing on trampolines, all that fun stuff, right? That's why I fell in love with this place. That's why I chose to build my life here. That's why I walked across the border, bought a house, because I can afford to live here. But admittedly, my pocketbook's hurting. I bet all it is for all of you as well. Gas is going crazy. We have to be responsible with our taxes. Every hour you work, that's a tax dollar coming in, right? That's going to the government. You're paying for that with your life. We have to be responsible with how we spend those tax dollars. So I totally got off script there. I fell right into it. So I have the privilege of obtaining a Bachelor of Science in Geography from the University of Calgary. I studied planning, geography, statistics, economics, all that fun stuff. I won't bore you with the details. If you want to come up afterward, I'd love to talk your ear off about it. Basically, the point I'm getting at is I have been fascinated with urban systems, urban structures, economics, how a place actually functions, what good policy looks like, how to get people engaged, how to actually have consensus, how to truly get to the root of a problem and display it honestly so that townsfolk can actually come together and say, you know what, yeah, we do need the fire department. Hell yeah, I don't want to burn in a fire. Of course I don't want to do that. So of course I support our fire department. Of course I support our emergency services. Of course I want to see this place prosper. I want to make sure the fire hydrants work. I want to make sure the potholes are filled. I even want to see the ditches stop flooding our basements. I want to make sure that things are efficient. I want to make sure that this place is a good place. Oh boy. All right. So, just a quick one. According to the community charter, the principles of municipal government can be summarized as democratically elected, autonomous, responsible, and accountable. I will do everything in my being to uphold that, to make sure that your tax dollars aren't wasted, to make sure that this is a place for you, me, respecting our ancestors, and giving the prosperity to our children in the future. We are all good people. We can all work together. We can all build consensus. I truly believe in this place. Let's incentivize businesses. Let's support our seniors. Let's be responsible. So, I want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. We, as the taxpayers, council has to listen to us. And I don't want to sit around and say that I'm not getting involved. I've come up here, I've crossed the line, and I say I want to run. I say I want to make a change. So, advanced voting is October 5th, and the actual election day is, I believe, right in this hall on October 15th. I wish you all the best, and that's with all. Okay? Love you lots.
Next is Marv.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rayne, and I've lived in the village of Pouce Coupe since 1968. Oh, sorry. Married, established our home, and chose to raise our children here. There were 4 generations of our family living on one street, and sadly now there's only 3. And since 1979, I am employed by School District 59. 28 of those years were in vision services, working with vision impaired. And I am happy to say I have 2 days of work left. And 43 years. I have sat on council in the early 90s prior to the Peace River Agreement, formerly known as the Fair Share, when yearly budgets were less than $200,000. For all the changes I have witnessed during my time in Pouce Coupe, our community can still proudly say that our streets are clear of snow in a significantly short period of time. Yay us! For the past 7 years, I have engaged my interest with municipal politics, attending meetings in the gallery, and 4 years sitting as an elected councillor. During this time, I have become increasingly concerned for our well-being as a municipality. Some important values have been set aside, and there is a clear and present problem that needs to be addressed. We, as taxpayers, can take on this challenge by applying our right to vote for responsible council to represent us and our vested interests in this community. Our future is in our hands. Thank you.
Up next is Marv Smith.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight and taking some time away from your home life to come and listen to all our candidates speak. My name is Marv Smith, and as a longtime resident of Pouce Coupe, my interest to be on council is no different than any other Pouce Coupe resident. I worry about the cost of living, my community taxes. I worry about how our village money is being used. Is it being spent where it does the greater good? Is it being spent effectively? As council members, it is our duty to ensure that your money, is being spent wisely. I want the village to be financially accountable. As council members, our obligation is to ensure that our needs are met. What are our needs in order of importance? Infrastructure is our first priority. That's our water, sewer, and our roads. Maintaining that infrastructure should come first. The second needs in our village is to finance and maintain our community resources, such as the fire hall, the museum, the library, the community center, and promote business growth to bring in revenue and create jobs. Misuse of the village finances, which is your money, will put us all at risk for higher taxes, lack of funds for recreation and social events, or even a breakdown of our infrastructure or village resources. What can I bring to council? As a former mayor and longtime council member, I bring over 12 years of service and experience to the table. That experience with village policies, council protocol, and all the other expected duties that being a council member entails. There needs to be experience and guidance on this new incoming council. Without it, mistakes will be made, and we can't afford mistakes. Like all candidates, I can only do my best, and that's what the council will get from me. Thank you.
Marcelo, you still here? Did that take off? No worries. No.
Alright, how's it going? See you, everybody. Alright, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Marcelo, and I spent the last year at the pleasure to serve for council. So the bonus to me compared to some of these others tonight is you guys got a year to take for a trial run. So I got a bit of a test drive, so going forward you guys can decide, where we want to go. So a little bit more about me. So when I'm not working for council and doing council stuff, I spend my time on my own business. I have my own maintenance company, and that allows me and supports my search and rescue habit. So then when I'm not working or doing council stuff, I'm usually busy running around search and rescue as the president and one of the managers for the last year, which allows me to work at multiple levels of government and have a better understanding of how emergency service works because I'm right in there with it. So my heart goes out to the fire department. When I'm not doing that, I also work as a safety instructor. But that's enough about me. I told you guys a bit about me last year, ones that don't even stick my name in Google, it's not hard to find stuff about me. But the reason we're here is we want to make Pouce Coupe a better place. We want to continue to grow Pouce Coupe and make it sustainable. Right? Well, how do we do that? Well, we need to look after our infrastructure first and foremost. You guys have heard everybody talk about the lagoon tonight. Well, just so everybody knows, that's a little over a $3 million fix. And one of the first things council did when that came up to us is we asked, hey, we don't want a chicken shit Band-Aid fix on this. We want a proper fix on this. Right? Give us the full deal, proper fix deal. And that's what council's looking at moving forward towards. The other thing that we need to look at is how sustainably grow our community and maintain our community. Part of that is looking after the existing infrastructure that we have, doing that in a sustainable fashion, working with the community, and seeing what needs to be done. And as time goes on, to upgrade our infrastructure when it needs to be replaced. Right? Wasting money and jumping the gun and fixing stuff that isn't broken is just going to cost us more in the long run. The other thing that the community needs, I heard last time around, and with having two small kids, oh, my kids are small, they're bigger than I am now. But having two kids is having recreation for our community. So TJ Misey and Iron Wolf Athletics approached the village about coming to do some work within the community and utilizing the community center and the baseball diamonds and that kind of stuff to have drop-in for the youth. Especially, I was talking to TJ today, and they're looking at ages from that 10 to 15 range where they tend to fall from packs. Right? So, in order to have Pouce Coupe grow, when you look at our stats, our median age, our average age of Stats Canada in 2001 was 38.8 is the average age of Pouce Coupe. So that tells me that we have a pretty good mix of older and younger people in town. And if we want to continue to have Pouce Coupe grow and sustain itself and survive, we need to have stuff for those young people, keep them in town, and keep them here. And we also need to look at keeping our seniors at home in the homes longer. Right? So these are the things that over the next 4 years I'd like to say I'd like to work towards. But at the end of the day, I want 5 votes. So it's up to you, the residents of Pouce Coupe, to decide who you want on council, who you want representing you, and what direction you'd like to see the village go. So in closing, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. And hopefully, have a good evening, and hope to see everybody on the 4th and 15th. Thanks a lot.
Last, certainly not least, is just another member came up when we were rolling the die. James Wall.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is James Wall. I'm running for Pouce Council here. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm here in a lot of stuff. Being on council is a great responsibility to every resident and taxpayer in this village. We need to be accountable and approachable. I've spoken with a lot of you in here tonight, and what I've been hearing is our representatives need to put the personal feelings aside and do what's in the best interest of the village. I have an education in civil infrastructure, and I've worked in construction and safety for the last 5 years. Various different ways. Things I'd like to see happen in Pouce are keeping our taxes low, not wasting our money, Get a bus out to Pouce. We all pay carbon tax on transit taxes, carbon taxes on our fuel, our home heating, everything like that. We're paying for a bus, we're just not getting one. I'd like to see lighted crosswalks across the highway. We're Ministry of Transportation with that. For the kids crossing school here. Community events and engagement is important to me. Why can't we have movie nights in this hall right here? Karaoke night, bingo night, who cares? Let's do it. Let's have some fun. Doesn't need to be like the last couple of years. I'd like to see a walk and bike path to connect Pouce Park to the rest of the village. And I'd like to see a phased out approach to our ditches over 5 or 6 years. I'm open to hear from everyone. If you want to contact me, my phone number is 250-719-9000. Give me a call anytime, day or night. I'm happy to hear it. Let's work together, guys.
Right on time and everything, so we'll get right to some of the questions. We're gonna, no real order other than the questions got, but Rayne, for Rayne. You're a former Pouce councillor and took a bit of a break. What, and certainly as some of the councillors and candidates have mentioned tonight, the past 4 years hasn't been the most peaceful around the table in the village. Why are you throwing your hat back in after the break?
I moved back to Austin for a few years, and we just recently moved back to Pouce. So I haven't really been following too much what's going on, just from what I've heard. But I know I can work well as a dean. I've done it before. I worked with 2 different mayors while I was on council. So I think I can bring something to the table, for sure. And I'm passionate about Pouce. I've raised kids here. Love it.
take a little more time, if you'd like. I mean, here we've got a current mayor, a former mayor, and a current councilor running for mayor. Why throw your hat in that race? And because, as you know, there is a little experience in council, why not run for a council seat and have some experience that way?
I'm running for mayor because, mainly because of Rayne. I really don't, I like her policies, but I do not like the image that she presents to us. She says that she represented us at Peace River Regional District. She got kicked off of Peace River Regional District. They did not want to work with her. Check on the mayor decided they didn't want to work with her. Because the Fort St. John mayor didn't want to work with her. And Danny, I really appreciate Danny. I really don't know what her portfolio is because she's been doing Mayor McKay's portfolio on fire hall, which is very loud to me. And that's why I'm running. I like Bill, he's my neighbor.
These questions let's go to Marv Smith. Something you brought up about managing infrastructure and how the village is doing with their finances. How is the village doing managing their finances, in your opinion? You're on council right now, so how do you do?
I think we're paying our bills, but I do think that we're dipping into the Peace River Agreement for a lot of stuff. We increased our taxes by 10% this year, so we're only going to get approximately $500,000. That doesn't even pay our staff or whatever. So I think as a collective council has to decide what our priorities are, and that's just one.
Awesome. Questions for Marcelo? Just in your own words, take as much time as you need, but you're a rookie councilor. A year ago we were in this room and had a similar bit of discussion. A year in, in your opinion, how's the council been and your experience around the table over the past 360 days?
Asking a loaded question. Actually, it's overall it's been a good experience, right? As much negativity as that people hear about and rumors that run around, council actually has worked together to get some stuff done this year, passed this year. That might not be as smooth as what people would expect to see, but stuff has got done. So there's somebody that came into council with no experience. It's been a hell of a crash course, and I look forward to continuing with it and being able to add to my knowledge.
Excuse me, can we have people who are speaking stand up so we can see them?
Sure, people stand up, maybe not courage to call up, but otherwise, yeah, if you'd like to stand up while you're talking, then people can see your voice and your face at the same time.
Thank you.
Bill, all right. You're again very similar to Rayne. You're a former elected official and had some break. What makes you want to throw your hat into in and become an elected official again? Should that go that way?
Where do I start? We all know that the village is broken. We need to fix it. We need a new start. We need new councils. We need a new mayor. We need a new agenda. Support our fire department. Support our museum. Support our post office. If we need things repaired, we can repair it. Our infrastructure is always going to be an issue. Our lagoon is a major issue. As far as opening up the center, I think we should do that. There's a lot of amenities that we had before, right? That we don't have now. Let's pick up and put the train back on the track, move forward. Thank you.
Very similar in theme here, current council of each. But again, obviously a year ago we were sitting here and elected into a council position. What makes you want to, again, throw your hat in for mayor? Obviously a former mayor sitting here, current mayor's here. What makes you want to take that step up, really just after a year in under the council belt?
big projects that we've started that I know are really important to our village. And those are definitely things that I would like to see going forward. Our lagoon being fixed is a big one. Our community center being used is a big one. And I also feel that we need to bring people into our community. You know, we have a lot of great things in this village. We have a nice industrial area that can be developed, that we have more buildings put on it. Industrial properties with buildings on them bring in far more taxes than regular home properties do. And so it's looking at things from a different angle. I've never been mayor. I'm young. I have young kids. I've lived here for the past 13 years. And involvement in my community has always been important. And it's always been slowly leading to me eventually doing this. I remember talking to my parents about running for mayor 5 years ago. And so this is something I've always felt passionate about Pouce Coupe. And I've always had a list of things that I would love to see our community do and do well in and succeed with. And so I toss my hat in the ring as somebody who's never had a chance, somebody who's new, somebody who's young, and somebody who's raising kids in this community currently.
So it's Richard Gold, much like Councillor Woodland in Beach for a year ago. Certainly your message has changed over the last 260 days as far as our presentation here tonight. Certainly a different flavor than a year ago. Do you think that's going to help? And again, when we get into that elected situation with SPOR and the mayor, how will you be working with obviously some of these people?
I don't need a microphone.
He's good.
Can you hear me in the back? The question was, I understand the speakers here are not very well. The question was, how will I work with the incoming council and or mayor? I work very well with them. I'm very familiar with some of these people. And as a professional, that's how you conduct yourself. It's also been stated that my attitude has changed since last year. Last year, I had a different agenda. People knew what that was. I don't need to bring that up again. You've all heard it. You've all made your decision on that. So, because of that, I've learned throughout this past year that I can actually do some good for Pouce Coupe. So when somebody is in a position where they can do some good, do it. And I know I can do that. As I've explained, being the only First Nations member on the council will do the Pouce Coupe good. It will repair the image that's been broken in the last 18 months. I've done my research. Same as Mr. Boyer. He's done his as well. How will I work with council and the new mayor? Very well. I will work very well because I have my agenda, as we all do. The only thing that we can promise is that we do our best. None of us can promise you the moon. I can promise everybody here that I'm going to shovel your driveway every winter or mow your lawn every summer. That's political rhetoric. Oh, she's going to take me up on that. Those are just political promises. The only thing I can guarantee you is this. I will do my best. And I bring to the table something unique because I am a Treaty 8 First Nations person. For first and once in my life, it's going to benefit me being a person of a different culture. I hope that answers the question. Thank you very much.
Mr. Marv Hebert, again, country councillor, a couple people have mentioned it today. How serious is the sewage lagoon as far as Pouce Coupe infrastructure and where it's at going into the fall here? Well, as far as infrastructure, is it the top infrastructure piece of business you guys have to get to, or is it something not very important in your opinion, and where should it be?
Is it something you're talking about a lot, like say the farm?
The lagoon is extremely important. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. You mind if you stand up?
The lagoon is extremely important. It has had issues for quite some time, and it has always had what I call a band-aid solution, something that will make do for the time being where we might not be able to use that unless we prepare what's down there. And we do have to discuss that as a council, and have. And as far as I know, this village is going to be preparing that next year, so that we will have use of our room for the next 50 years.
Move the speaker down.
Sorry, we can't hear up here. We're having a hard time hearing you.
So that helps our candidates here. All right, James Wall, you were at the, this question, you were at the fire hall, fire services meeting a couple last week. And you picked up from the crowd that, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's roughly $40 a house or resident in Pouce Coupe for the fire. You know, as far as a municipal budget, how big do you think, you know, that is in the grand scheme of things, and then does it warrant a meeting and scope of what we witnessed last week?
I can answer that one. I don't think $40 a household is worth a whole event meeting for it, personally. Especially when it's a fire hall, and that's something we definitely need. And I don't think anyone in this room is in support of having no service, which should not have been the top option on the survey. And it sows confusion, and it's something that we shouldn't have done, personally. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but if you wanted to, there you go.
Okay, now we've got two. One is for Rayne and Katie here. How was the last term, in your opinion? If you had to take anything back and had to do anything again, what would that be? And why? And what would you redo?
Well, I went to post to that post by any means.
Stand up. Stand up here.
I went to post to that post by any means, but I didn't mean it to be racist. It was an environmental post, and it was also.
Stop right there. No, don't
It
you
was
dare go
also
down that road.
meant for one of the councillors' yards, because she does not maintain her yard. Talking about the fire hall, I'd like to speak about that.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Well, I just want to make one comment.
Unless you're taking it back or something, right?
Okay,
I
I don't need a
repeat,
question on that.
91% of the fire hall department.
You don't listen around me, yeah.
2 residents. Only 9.
Last, certainly not least, but talking about your experience, let's speak up on your candidate profile, if you will. You're currently a board member on the NLC collegiate board. Talking about that role, how do you think that may apply and help you should be elected to a role here?
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I'm Kurt, but I'm a support staff member at Northern Lights College. I'm the student housing manager. I started out in the bookstore. I worked my way to be the temporary food service manager, and then I had the opportunity to start as the housing manager there. So I help a lot of students. Anyway, I'm a support staff member there, right? And so basically what the Northern Lights College Board of Governors is the entity that communicates between the Ministry of Post-Secondary Education and the president, who then delegates all the responsibilities of running this massive institution down. So I have a great friend who I work with at the college. I have many friends there. I love them all. But basically what I'm getting at is she was the one who said, hey, you should work at the college. And walked around a dog park with her, and she said, you should work at the college. Then one day she said, hey, have you heard of the Board of Governors? I said, no. But I looked into it, and essentially what they do is they deal with all the things pertaining to the operation of the institution. So it's quite a broad thing. So I put my name forward. I was elected in a by-election the first time. I ran again when the term ended, and I was elected again by the support staff of the college to be the support staff representative on the Northern Lights College Board of Governors. So that's a huge responsibility. I represent, as much as I can, hundreds of support staff members who run Northern Lights College, which is operating in the Northern Third of British Columbia, providing post-secondary education to hundreds and thousands of people in all the communities, in all the towns, and in First Nation territories, up north, in the Sickening, all the way up in East Lake and Atman, all the way to Fort Nelson, Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, Tumbler Ridge, and Shetland. These are a lot of people. that work in the front desk and behind the scenes to make the education system work. There's a lot that goes into that. And to represent that diverse set of interests isn't easy. But I sit and I listen and I take emails and I respond to questions. There are people all over the place. I take phone calls. I talk to them. I listen. But the thing is, at the end of the day, the institution can be a machine. It puts in, it puts out. But what I need to do in that moment, when I get that moment to represent these hundreds of people, I have to advocate for them. I have to put my voice in and say, no, this needs to be interesting. This needs to be important. I can't speak for the whole board, but let's just say we all work together to avoid staff cuts this year and instead keep a moderate salary increase. I cannot speak for the board as a whole, and there's provisions into what I can specifically say regarding the board. Of course, it's a governmental body. But essentially, it's in those short moments, in those windows of time, you better be damn sure you know what the heck you're talking about, and you better be damn sure that it helps the people that you're there for.
All right, we're coming along at a pretty good pace here. If anyone's got questions, well, we just throw a hand up, and then here we go. All right. Try to get right to it, okay?
Yeah. My name is Peter Anderson. I was born in Pouce Coupe in 1955. So, got for about 45 years. I'd like to know if the candidates for mayor actually have a budget, a proposed budget. I'm really surprised I haven't seen one. Pouce Coupe's got an awful lot of potential, but all I've heard here is politics. And there's a council member here that actually lives very near me that I wouldn't vote for in 1,000 years. So, but no, I'd like to see a proposed budget for what you're doing.
All four, we're still right down a proposed budget for the question there for your campaign.
I have posted a policy which is similar to Fort St. John's on the PRA. It deals with percentages of use of the PRA, which will go towards funding our roads and streetlights and things of that nature, our sewer, also funding our fire hall and things like that. It's online. I will get you a copy of it. I will get a pamphlet out to you with it on it.
Obviously, we talk about the budget's coming every year during the cycle. Anything to say about if you'd be elected, what the budget look like?
Stand up there.
I'm not gonna stand. Takes me a little longer, I get a little older. Anyway, I think what we should try and do is just keep the budget to where we can turn around and keep everything under budget as best we can, so we can take the extra money that we have in the village and put it to where we need it, as far as the fire service, museum, post office, community center, and the Legion. You know, the Legion's a good support for the village also. So I mean, I want to keep everything on budget. I live here, I pay taxes here, and we want to keep everything as low as possible, but at a standard where we can maintain and live to be affordable.
I actually brought the Pouce Coupe financial plan with me. I'm a planner. So I do have it here. This is the Pouce Coupe financial plan from this year all the way to 2026. I'm going to be honest with you. I was on council when we discussed the budgets and the financial plan. And there's not much wiggle room. You can come up here and look. Our employees are unionized, so we can't exactly make cuts there, I'm going to be honest. Our fire hall, currently right now, we can't make cuts there either, as we all learned at our fire hall meeting. The staff, we're actually already short-staffed in our village office. Our CFO is also our CAO, and our CAO is also our CFO. So we're actually short a whole employee in our village office. Our public works department is adequately staffed, but there's no room to make cuts there either. If you'd like to look at our financial plan, I did bring 2 copies. Again, I'm a planner. You're more than welcome to. But I can guarantee you that when we sat down and looked at this financial plan for 2026, there is no wiggle room. Everybody can stand there and say they'll make cuts, but where? To what? If we could have made cuts, they would have been made. So, yeah, like the budget is what it is, and I honestly I don't see it going down. I don't want to make any false promises or say that it will be cut because there's no room to cut it.
Or is it asking for it to be cut?
I'm sorry, I'm just mentioning it because a few people have mentioned that they would like to see some work within the budget. So I did bring a copy. It'll be up here if you're more than welcome to come look at it. And I hope I was able to answer your question.
I feel the same way. I actually feel the same way. This budget can't be changed. This budget can't be changed. We have put it up to 2026. Honorarium for the fire department is $9,000 this year. Firefighters benefit is $33,998. Fire administration wages.
We changed the fire chief, so we have
Firefighters appreciation is $19,962. So you have that, Peter? So this said I wouldn't change it. It's pretty hard with the union. It's very hard. The maintenance on the fire hall is also coming out of the fair share agreement. So 91% is what the government and the federal programs are for our fire department. We only pay 9% as a taxpayer. Anything else? No?
Any questions? Hands up, anybody? Okay, you get the second one? We got one here.
He's first. She got me.
Well, before, make sure.
So my question is to Rayne again.
Okay, and just before you put the, obviously if
If you're
you're
gonna throw it at one candidate only, we will allow some of the others to also try to where you go. So get the question up.
Okay, so my question is to all the candidates that's running for mayor then. Are you guys ready to sue the village when you're going to be the mayor, just like Ms. McCann did? So did you know that she sued the village 3 times while she was the mayor? That's our taxpayers' money that's paid her out of her pocket. And she hired her own lawyer when the office offered it for her because it's paid for. But guess what? No, she had to get her own lawyer and sue the village to the cost of her lawyer. So we are paying for that, just to let you know, guys.
We'll ask the candidates. Ed, you become the mayor, you can sue the village?
I am not going to sue the village. I'm going to try and protect the village from being sued. Mr. Wall's idea of broadcasting movies in here, that all has to be licensed. I'm sorry, but yeah, if it's not licensed, we can get sued really badly.
All right, Bill. You hear the question? You were going to sue the village? Come here. Well, that was a question for all 4, right? So I mean, I'm sure we're going to do an answer.
Public broadcast,
Sorry, Bill.
No.
What he said. Clarify, Nadine, do you know what the community charter is? Do you know what that means? Well, the council didn't follow the community charter. They removed me off boards and committees. They broke the community charter. As a councilor, you should know the community charter. You should not break it. It is rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sued the village, and I did not sue the village 2 times.
Yes,
I sued
you
the
have.
village twice because 2 meetings were unlawful, which means they broke the community charter.
You You've done a lot of it.
I've done a lot of it. Because it's okay for council not to properly do the due process? Is that what you're saying? It's okay?
How can you run a council when you're bullying everybody around?
I'm bullying everybody.
Yeah, you are.
Really, why did we have 15 meetings in November? Our CAO left, and I wasn't in the meetings.
It has nothing to do
Why was that?
It has nothing to do with the meeting. That's something to do with you.
Yeah, no, nice try, girl. You're supposed to be doing policies, you're supposed to do procedures, and you're supposed to follow the community charter. That's how it is.
So, a question? Oh, I don't know. Here we go.
I'm not gonna, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to represent my parents. I live in Pouce Coupe. I've been a citizen of Pouce Coupe for years. We've done a lot of things. As I was growing up here, we had a lot of people that organized a lot of things in Pouce. That hasn't happened in years. What we should be looking at here now is not talking, we already know what our tax situation, the money that is available for municipalities. What we want to know is why don't we have a board for the last, I'd say 15 years at least, that's not concentrating on bringing in some more activities into the community for our children, for our youth, for our elders, bringing in programs for all our citizens here in Pouce. We need board members that are going to start rallying the government, not just for the money we already have, but the money that's available for all these activities for citizens here in Pouce. These activities bring in dollars to our businesses. We no longer have an ice cream parlor. We no longer have a restaurant. We no longer have a viable hotel. We have the one, but we've had a lot more activities going on in Pouce for the last about 20 years. Yeah. And I just want to know what this council would be doing on behalf of Pouce in these areas. As we know, once we have, like when we had baseball, we had soccer, we had hockey, we used to have volunteers from the board, from this board, that would go out and water the rink for the kids in the wintertime. Get some activities, our winter jamboree, I haven't seen that for a long time. Where's all these activities that were here for years that bring money into the community? All these people coming from other communities, taking part in all these activities, spent money in the community, spent money in our stores, they spent money at a restaurant, our ice cream parlors. We don't have that anymore here in Pouce Coupe. What is the council here going to do about that? Are they going to start rallying to the government for more dollars to help us to bring these activities and these things to our community? So my question is to this council, are you going to start bringing back some of the old ways that we used to do things? We had counselors that went out and rallied, volunteered, lots of volunteer time into these activities around Pouce Coupe. We had ball teams. We used to run 7-8 ball tournaments every summer. We used to have hockey teams in the outdoor rink, bringing in other communities to play. There was a lot of activities in Pouce for a lot of years, and we shut them all down now. What are we going to do about that?
Can I answer that question?
Richard, you have a question for the audience?
No, I'd like to respond to that.
Okay,
who remembers Canino days? Who remembers Canino days in Pouce Coupe? Okay, for those who don't remember, Canino days happened once every winter for a whole weekend. We had smooshing, you had people, those funny looking skis, we had skidoo races, we had this gym full of activities and crafts, we had the Swedish saw contest. Proud to say our family was champion for 5 years, my brothers and father and I. And we had all these events going on. We had talent shows happening at the Legion, talent shows happening at the Pouce Bar. Pouce Coupe was a live, vibrant community. Everybody came out. The village sponsored all that stuff. Now, we can do that again if the council gets involved. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. As an Indigenous man, I can approach Treaty 8 Travel Association and say, listen, you got some cultural funds? Let's put it to Pouce Coupe. Let's do cultural food fairs. Open up that street outside of Pouce with the post office there. Have a cultural food fair for a long weekend in the summertime. Canino days, bring that back. Wow. And as Walter was saying, ball tournaments. I remember the hosting that they would host half a dozen in the summertime that brought in revenue. One of the biggest draws for a lot of communities in Alberta is all native ball tournaments. That brings a lot of money, brings a lot of teams. Pouce Coupe sponsors something like that, this place is going to be thriving for a weekend. Once, twice, 3, 4 times a summer. We can do all that, but council has to get involved. It's our job as council members. The incoming new mayor will have their hands full. The council member, there will be 4 of us, if I get voted in. We can put our time and efforts towards that. Bringing Pouce Coupe back to what Walter said, back to its lively, vibrant place that it used to be. It's inviting. People used to come from Chetland, Kelly Lake, Fort St. John, Hudson, Morgan Lake, to come here for Canino days, for the ball tournaments. Who would like to see that again? Give me a round of applause. Who would like to see that again? There's money to be made there for the village, and it's a great way to bring communities together. That's my answer, Walter.
As the current defending cheerleading cook-off champion for Pouce Coupe, I know we still do involved in the Winter Carnival. We just got shuttered for COVID. But Marcelo, activities for children, youth, elders, programming, and more.
So, like I mentioned, there is already an organization, Sorry County Council, that we're working with that this summer held multiple ball tournaments and that kind of stuff. So they did an all-female ball tournament one weekend and had camping and that kind of stuff. And as they move forward, they've actually already approached council about looking into some private sponsorship and that kind of stuff to sponsor, so they can start improving the infrastructure and making the ball diamonds a little bit better to be able to attract a better quality or a better caliber of tournaments and that kind of stuff. We've also been working with the disc golf group as well down at Pouce Park, and they've expressed interest in being able to get that to a point where that they can hold tournaments and that kind of stuff as well. So it is something that the community or council, before we started working with individuals that have come to us and that kind of stuff, and there's been talks amongst a few of us and with the individuals that are doing it, about ways to expand it out to the rest of the community, looking at drop-in nights and that kind of stuff for the youth, so that there is more. So it is being built to it, but the thing to remember too is we're just coming out of all this COVID stuff, and as we wait for all these restrictions to get relaxed and everything to kind of cycle back to whatever normal is going to look like, we have to keep in mind that throws some hassles at us, and then there's this wonderful thing called liability insurance. And so sometimes working with these organizations to figure out ways to fix that liability issue, be it through sponsorship or partnership ideas or what have you. Sometimes we might be getting a little creative, because nowadays, unfortunately, you can't do anything without liability, and it just gets in the way of a lot of stuff. So it's up to us as council to look at creative ways to work with these organizations. And I welcome any other groups that are out there that want to do stuff in the community, like cultural fair or that kind of stuff. Like, that'd be awesome. Bring those ideas to council, right? There's 5 of us on the board, and all you need is a majority to say, hey, that's a cool idea. So yeah, I encourage that to anybody, because like it's been said tonight, it would be great to get back to being able to do more for Pouce Coupe and keep the kids active instead of getting into trouble and exploring bad abilities.
Okay, so I was scrolling some notes, but basically, yes, COVID just halted a bunch of volunteerism, a bunch of activities, a bunch of nonprofit societies. All those decades of people working together, all that organization just stopped it. We have to rebuild all of that. So council's job in that will be support and funding. What you need to do is enable committees and groups and teams who, in their own way, want to do a ball team. You support them. You give them access to the facilities. You make sure those facilities are maintained and repaired. You make sure that there are spaces for these activities. So basically, what council needs to do is support the Parks and Rec Board. It used to exist, it's coming back, it's a whole thing that once was, right? So, we need to get volunteers involved. I believe that as a councilor, you do have a duty to volunteer in the community, absolutely. Every councilor should be involved in activities, absolutely. We can have arrangements with these organizations so that there's maintenance of these facilities. We already have our public works department, of course, that deals with the actual logistics and operation of these facilities. However, for example, if a ball team comes to us and says, hey, we want to build a new backstop here or build a new fence, we can assist them, right? It's this cooperation. It's everyone working together to get this done. But then also, what about federal, provincial, and regional activity grants? What about the money that's sitting out there to engage children in sports and children into all the different activities we've got? But also planning events. All you gotta do is start. If you build it, they'll come. If you plan it, they'll come. If we put up tables and said potluck on Sunday, there would be food here. We just have to start. We have to rebuild what once was.
Right on.
I want to focus on this space we're in right now. This is an amazing space. It's used for lots of events. It's wonderful. We have basketball hoops up. We can let kids come in here in the evening times and shoot hoops. Why not? Put up a volleyball net. Let people come in here and use that. We don't need to spend a lot of money to get this done. You go into Ed's point, there are, like we can't have movies, there are public domain movies and we could buy a license. That is a possibility. So, yeah. On top of that, the park is very important too, so I'm not good at public speaking, sorry guys.
I would like to see the ball games back. We got beautiful baseball diamonds, we've got soccer fields. This community hall took a lot to bring into our community. Let's use it. It's not being used every night. There's lots of opportunities, so speak out what your children want and talk to council. Tell us what you want. Soccer, baseball, cooking classes, whatever.
It's interesting because I was out having a conversation a couple of days ago with someone from just outside of Pouce Coupe, and they were speaking about recreation and children, volunteers, and they said, I just don't know what's wrong, why these people just aren't volunteering for all of these things. And people are very busy, and people are connected, it seems, to the internet and so on and so forth. And then she said, you know what, there's an awful lot of legislation when it comes to all these events that you'd like to have. And I thought, well, maybe that's it too. I have no idea. I do know that we did once have recreation as part of council's portfolios, and it has been dropped. I don't know when.
When
I don't
Lorraine
know
became
why.
the mayor.
Pardon?
When Lorraine McKinney became the mayor, that's when it got dropped.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea when it was dropped. I do know that when we had a thriving recreation committee, it was absolutely incredible the amount of people that were involved. And then they dropped, and then a group of people, Minalts, took on that little job, big job. These people were working day and night and doing a phenomenal job. And then that stopped, and it just seemed to die. And I don't know why. And I really would like to see recreation come back. I really would.
It'd be great to have an event around here.
Yeah.
I think we'd all like to see the rest of the meeting come back. Anybody wants to step up and volunteer, definitely do that. But it starts with your neighbors, and it does have to be a nonprofit, and the village supports that nonprofit, just so they can qualify for other funding. Even our barbecue, our great barbecue was turned into a commercial event. It's no longer supporting very many charities. I guess there was some to the parking. Marcelo can speak to that as he was running the parking and donated the money to somebody. Anyways, it used to go to the Rangers. Yeah, if we could get that cookhouse built and get somebody to take that on, the 2 churches in town, you know, the food bank in town, anybody in town, take volunteer. But it starts with your neighbors. You know, I got some great neighbors. We help each other out all the time. My neighbor, he had a push lawnmower and a huge lawn. Go over there and mow it. This summer I was out of truck because I thought I'd change my motor and put it in this big high horsepower thing that's not going so well. But anyways, that's the point. So I was out of truck and I had all these branches and I went out to my backyard. Somebody picked them up and took them away for me, you know, and that's my neighbors, and we work together. I don't know if you guys know your neighbors, but definitely get to know your neighbors and explore your neighbors. But, yeah, skate park, I want to see some skate park competitions. I know some skateboarders.
Skateboarders, all right, Bill. Children, youth, elders, program. Stuff.
Well, if everyone can recall, we already had this in force before the pandemic. Obviously, the last couple of years, everything slid. We had our Fun Friday night. Family Fun Night on Friday night. I'm sorry, forgot the name. Plus, we even had movie nights with popcorn with the kids. This all quit. It all stopped. Then we turned around and got hit with the pandemic. For sure, I'd like to see this back. I'd like to see our youth engaged in a lot of things in this village. And there's opportunities for sport to happen. So let's go back to where we were and start again.
Yeah, right, you're funny. I've actually looked into this a little bit. As Rayne said, yeah, we used to have family fun nights on the Friday nights. One of the big reasons why a lot of things do not happen in the hall on, say, a Saturday is because the janitor for the school gym is unionized by the school. So one thing I would like to do is, if I get in as mayor, I was the shop steward for the Pouce Coupe Elementary School BCGU union, and I'd like to meet with our janitors union and discuss ways that we could start renting this space out on a Tuesday without having to pay so much community dollars to the janitor to have it clean. While I completely understand that she is a union employee, it is actually affecting the cost of renting this space. So, and we are not allowed to hire an outside janitor because it is a union position. So that's one thing I would definitely have looked into doing, so we could start using this space and utilizing it more. A second thing is, down at our Pouce Park, we are looking at teaming up with the Dare to Dream Association. The nice thing is that by giving the Canada Day celebration to a different organization, they can start charging things like pad rent to food trucks that come in, so they can actually start making money back from that event, where the village as a corporation, we can't. So whenever we're putting on these big events, we are paying for them out of taxpayers' dollars. So that's another thing that we've actually looked at to make money back into the community to host more events. I've also met with TJ Miney about the baseball thing. He is definitely interested in having more baseball tournaments out here. He did a couple this summer, as Councilor Whittle had said, and he's even interested in doing more rec stuff if we can meet with the union and get our cost for renting our rec space actually down. So that is something I would definitely like to look at as well. So there are a few reasons why the space hasn't been used. COVID is obviously a big one, and the second one is cost. A big issue with that cost is communication. Nobody has met with the BCGEU to go over the cost of hiring the janitor for the school and how that could be affecting renting out this space. So I think, you know what, communication is something we can definitely do. It's a conversation. And I'd love to start that conversation and get this space being utilized more. So, yeah. So we've been working with TJ Miney for, I don't know, I have anyway, for a couple months. I hooked him up with quite a few residents of Pouce Coupe to be able to volunteer. There's 3 sitting in here tonight. TJ wants to do some baseball, he wants to do night stuff out in here, trying to keep the kids busy, trying to do some workout things. There's one guy that usually rents it, but because of insurance issues, he can't rent it, so we put him in touch with TJ. Yeah, there's lots of things I'd like to do. We planned, before COVID, we had myself, Donna, Barb was involved, Rob was the cook for the chili cookout. We had jamboree, and it was well attended. And I'd like to see that more. And I'd like to see dancing in the street, block parties, all kinds of things like that. But we all need to work together.
Anybody put their hands up? Yes, we have less, and then a plaid. You bet. Very best. Fire away.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Les. I run the museum, as everybody knows. I hear all this talk about all the things we're gonna do, and I'm disappointed because I think the museum in Pouce Coupe has done just about everything that's done. Light up. Everything's planned, and we have a board that volunteers with me on a steady basis. Thank you, guys. I expect everybody to get in on it.
Let's lay it down. All right, here we go. Question.
So, first I have a show of hands that I want to see, and then I'll ask a question, a follow-up question. So, prior to pandemic, how many of the potential council or potential mayor, people that nominees would say that Pouce Coupe saw an influx of people or interest in Pouce Coupe due to low tax rates? Okay, so my follow-up is, and you're all going to hate me for this, I am a firm believer you get what you pay for. So I've been on lots of boards, I've been on lots of committees, and I'm a very practical person. I grew up, under the poverty line. The point is, you get what you pay for, though. So in 2020, tax rate went down by 20%. 25%, sorry, thank you. I don't know what else will keep property tax, or tax rate went down by 25% during 2020. It went up again by 10. We still haven't recovered those costs. And our tax rate was already low before. So I understand when council says, they have a very limited budget. We do. We have a very, very limited budget. We have things that we have to pay for just because they're required. Otherwise, the government comes after us. So my question to council is, what are your thoughts? And I know everybody likes to say, oh, I'm going to keep taxes low, taxes are going to be low, taxes are going to be low, and I'm not going to raise taxes. But things have to be paid for. And all of these community things that we want to be doing have to be paid for. So realistically, what are your plans for the future? And this goes to everybody.
Anybody would like to answer? Rich up first. Just to add perspective on that 25% tax decrease in 2020. I'm sure this council followed suit with every council in Canada and then dropped it because of COVID-19 in 2020. So it was just an arbitrary village Pouce Coupe.
I don't get Mike.
Rich doesn't need Mike, way to go.
Just to address your concern there about taxes and spending and all this stuff. As I've stated when I first gave my presentation there, the 3 tiers of priorities when it comes to this village. What are those 3 tiers? The first one, and the most important one, is the village infrastructure. Roads, sewers, and water. Without that infrastructure, nothing else matters. Is that a fair statement? If you have a home, and if you don't have any walls, what's the use of buying a new fridge for that home? Okay, so now, the 3 tiers of priority. First tier, infrastructure. The second tier, the services that the village provides. Fire hall, community center, endorsing and promoting businesses for economic growth and jobs, stuff. That's the second tier. The third tier is everything that's not in the first and second tier. here's what I see the problem as. They're taking money that should go to the first and second tier and applying it to the third tier. They're talking about spending money on a trail when that money could be better spent on infrastructure or second tier objects. So for me, it's a simple sort of fix. Fix what's important. Deal with what's important to you. It's like a kid is asking his dad, "Dad, can you buy me that quad?" Okay, if I buy you the quad, you don't eat for a month. We have our power shut off, and we don't have water in the house for 2 months. Would you like the quad now? Okay, no, you don't do that. You pay the basic bills first, as he said. Take care of the basics, just like you would take care of your family. The elected members are stewards of this community. They are the parents. They are the overseers of the financial, goings on of this community. Get them to take care of what's important first. All these other extras that they're talking about, let's do this and let's do that. If that money is coming from Tier 1 or Tier 2 funding, you're screwing yourselves. It's a very simple formula, and I don't see why, there's an issue with that. Now, as a council member, I'm only one voice if you vote me in. But I will make sure my voice is heard. To see that those Tier 1 and Tier 2 responsibilities are met first. After that, if there's a little bit of money left over, sure, let's buy some ice cream for the kids. Let's do that. Thank you for your time.
Rick?
I do believe that we all have to increase our taxes, just the rate of how much we have to increase our taxes. So, as long as we regulate it and sorry.
Back and forth there.
Just the amount of regulation, the increase.
Too bad you don't say anything. Yes, taxes. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Jared. Yes, so actually, I had a wonderful opportunity on council this year. We had a gentleman come up and help talk to us about our taxes and about raising them. And one of the things that he talked about before we raised taxes 10% was looking into the future, especially when we were looking at our financial plans and all those things. And so this year we made the big jump to raise taxes 10%. So taxes went from around 460,000 to closer to 500,000. Next year, the plan is, if I'm elected, to raise them 5%. So now we've gone from 467,000 up to closer to 500,000. Now we're going to go 5% of that 500,000. So as that number goes up, that tax percentage can slowly start going down. So we're looking at doing 5% next year, 5% the following year, then down to 3%, then down to a more sustainable amount of tax. So we're not raising taxes 10% every year, because there needs to be a balance between sustainably raising taxes, where it's not gouging the community, but it's getting us out of the current situation we're in, which is living off of our fair share. And so that's my plan for taxes. And it's also, as well, I like that, it is about creating a balance. So yes, okay, we can say, let's only focus on infrastructure. But I always love the whole saying, like, you know what, like all work and no play makes a community unhappy. So we have to balance that between our infrastructure and our taxes, but also bringing up community engagement. Who wants to move into a community that has nothing for the community members, that has nothing for the families, that's bringing nothing for those people in? That's also bringing in taxes. And so, yes, okay, we need to fix the lagoon, absolutely, and that's going to happen, but we also need to look at bringing the community together to bring more community members to Pouce Coupe, which will help in the overall situation. Thank you.
Just mixing up the orders, it's not the same every time.
When I first got on council, I was looking at how inflation rate. And I had said at one point that without fair share money, and provincially, we only have to put in 50% of our taxes, we would be paying approximately $5,000 a year without the fair share. So I always look at the fair share like it's fantastic, but is it a guaranteed income, and is it infinite? And it isn't. And I just want people to understand how much that means to me, to be unsure. I do want to be sure that our community will survive another 90 years and do well.
I think we can start out small if we get some incentive for what residents want, activities, but we don't always, we can fundraise our own money. It doesn't have to be a handout from the municipality. I was in Cubs and Scouts for many years, and we did lots of things for fundraising. We did Christmas trees, we did things. So if we want it, we can get it.
I would just like to point out that our tax rate is actually based off our BC assessment home values. So as home values increase, you're going to pay more money, and the village will get more money. So if we make Pouce Coupe more desirable by implementing a bus route, having more community events, and getting cleaning up the ditches, it will increase your home's value, and there will be more tax coming in, possibly without actually needing to increase the effective tax rate. So, because as home values go up, if you increase that rate, and your values go up, it's going to hit people hard. Right now, we're in hard times, and a lot of people are struggling. The last thing I want to do is make someone homeless because, or make people uninsured vehicles, no way to work, or whatever, just because we increase taxes for real estate. I think we make this place more desirable, more people will come, that effective rate will increase.
Just talking about that. Okay, so fiscal responsibility is the summation of my answer to that question. So we need to plan. We need to plan long term. We need to have a united vision. We need to not go in multiple directions, wasting a bunch of time and money doing this and that. Oh, let's plant elm trees. Oh, let's plant these new maple trees next year. You know, no. We need to have a long-term vision here. We need to do things responsibly. If we have to dig up the sewers because they're lead and they're getting old, then why not think about curb and gutter at the same time, right? I'm talking long-term vision, okay? That's not going to happen right off the bat, right? We got to keep our house in order, right? Do what you can first before you can do what you want. And I do get it, though. We do need some fun stuff happening as well. So what we need to do is incentivize and encourage businesses. We need to make it so that those empty lots sitting all over the highway actually have businesses on them. That'll bring revenue, that'll bring services to the community, that'll have things happening here. And it will be a compounding effect of more revenue, more services. But not getting so darn big that we just become some giant place, right? It's this balance. We want to keep the charm, we want to keep this a nice little place, but we also want the services, right? But if you wanted to live fancy downtown Vancouver, go on and live there, right? This is Pouce. It's a special place. It's got a cherished character here. So, any activity that can be managed by a self-sufficient volunteer organization, like the baseball teams, like a potluck dinner, like the Legion, like the churches, all this. There's already so many community events. We need to encourage them. The community, the village already gives a tax raise to the churches so that they can exist without having to, get so much revenue. There are 2 churches in town that are tax exempt. Anyway, if you look at the 2026 budget, you'll actually see that water and sewer rates collect more revenue than your actual property tax rates. So I'm just saying that. I'm putting that out there just to make you guys aware. It's about 11% for property tax, or about 16 to 17% projected is what the water and sewer rates are going to be, because it went from 3 months to 2 months. So instead of seeing that hit on your property tax bill, you're starting to see it on your water rates, and that is deeply unfortunate. Better deal for Pouce.
Tax rate. So once again, my PRA policy. PRA is not a guaranteed thing. You know, we've seen Fort St. John and Dawson Creek both trying to get their wages under control. You know, we've been using the PRA to pay wages. Dad, she said that our taxes don't cover the wages. You know, that's a scary thing. The PRA is up for renegotiation next year. When you negotiate with the government, you don't get a heck of a lot. You're a hobo with your hand out. You know, if the government wants to give you a quarter, you take the quarter, and you don't get to say, no, I want $5, and you're going to get that $5 if you're the one with your hand out. And I'll tell you that. We learned that with the road. They're planning on expanding the road here and turning it into 4-lane. What they do, they're looping around Pouce Coupe. That isn't good for business. The highway's not even going to go through here in a few years. I mean, how's that going to help business? That's what the plan is. You've only been here a couple of years. You've only been here a couple of years. That's the plan, and it turns off at the Roll Road, goes out that way, and goes around Pouce. So I mean,
Tears down my house.
that was the other option.
That's the option you're thinking about, actually tears down my house. And tears down
That was the other option that they didn't go with.
Make sure you know your facts.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, they can make every plan they want, to put our taxes up for the next 5 years, right? Who knows what the cost of living's gonna be in the next 5 years? Unless you've got a little crystal ball, who's gonna tell us what it's gonna be? It's gonna turn around and depend on what the economy's at, and the cost of living, and everything else. And if it goes up 20%, how much are your taxes gonna go up? They're gonna have to go up accordingly, right? So unless you got that little crystal ball, somebody stand up and please help me. And until these people, myself or anyone else gets elected, there's really nothing gonna happen here until after the election. That may all change also. Just saying. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions in the crowd? Or we're gonna start going into outro closing comments for each of these. But since you asked, gentleman with the plaid, 25%. The question, the original question was, you know, he's not listening. He's not even looking at it. You see, he's not even looking at it. So these are your answers. But your question was, you know, tax rate was reduced 25% in 2020. That was your question on how to bring it back. If I was running, I would commit to you that over the next 3 years, I would turn that 25%, because obviously the village could yield that back in the day to keep it a short answer for you. If I couldn't get there, we'd have a discussion then, but that would be if I was running. So, if there's no other questions on the horizon, we're going to get one more. Here we go. Okay, let's see what we got here. Here up front, at the center, Richard Old had to take off with a family emergency. That's why he escaped early. So here we go. Were you the opening? Ah, okay. Well, they're going to close, and I promise you, if they don't tell you their names, I'll remind them. Okay? Up first is Ed Boyer. About 2 minutes, Ed.
I'm Ed Boyer. I'm running because I grew up in this village. I've been here since 1968. I went to school not this building, but on this property. And I have a great love for this town. I played on that trestle. Everything about my life is Pouce Coupe. And I care about Pouce Coupe. I've seen Heights go down this horrible road of bankruptcy and taken over by the county of Grand Prairie. I don't want to see that for our town. I don't want to see bins that we have to carry our garbage from the homes and put it in. There's just too much spending, and we have to learn to get along with less, as far as I know. You know, get used to the PRA not being there, because it's gonna happen. They're lobbying, the Southerners are lobbying like crazy, saying that we shouldn't even have that money. Anyways, I just wanna Rayne say.
Next is Ray Johnson.
I say it's Ray Johnson, sorry, I'm not the best speaker. I am passionate about Pouce. I do have a little experience on the council. I am for the rec committees and growth of Pouce and keeping Pouce moving and not part of Dawson Creek. And I work well with the team. Thank you. Please vote.
Everybody get out the vote. Up next in the speaking order would have been candidate Holt. He's obviously moved on to the evening for family anniversary, but he would agree by second when he says vote no.
I've lived here for 35 years. I'm very passionate about Pouce Coupe. I know most of the residents, and I just love being here. I love to see things happen around here, and I enjoy it too. So, everybody get out and vote.
Up next. I'll go down, so I go home, I should go back here. I'll go down, so I'm going to Dan H.
I thought you were bouncing back and forth. Oh, okay. Throwing me off my toes. I did make a joke to Bill at trying to reread my whole 6-minute speech, and he threatened to take me down, so. Just kidding. Yeah, so my name is Danny Beach. I'm currently a counselor. I am running for mayor. If elected, I would like to focus on our infrastructure, reuniting our community, getting our community center back up and running, bringing events back into Pouce Coupe. I'd also like to focus on our fire hall, our roads, our lighting. Hey, we did the lighting. Yeah, and so that's what a lot of my campaign is about. It's about reuniting our town, working on our infrastructure, and getting us forward thinking, and getting us feeling inclusive, friendly, and forward thinking. Sorry, see, I'm all thrown off. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Bill Clark. As I said before, I'm running for the position of mayor. There's a lot of things in the village that need to be fixed, that are broken. When we get back in, we'll turn around and take them on one at a time, as we'll triage things, and the most important things will be the first thing on the agenda. We'll try and work together here as a team. You people are the ones that are going to make the choice here. You people are the ones that are going to turn around and make a choice with this mayor and this council. Whatever you people want in this village, hopefully you get it. October 15th, come out and vote. I want people to see Dan's poll. I understand that. Thank you for correcting me. The 15th, come out and vote. Anyone that you know in the village that is eligible to vote, please come out and have them vote. We need our vote counted out. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Curtis.
Yeah, yes, I love the podium. Okay. I'm so tall, you know, I might as well stand front and center. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, genuinely for coming. I really appreciate that. It's important that we're engaged in our local community. If there were 2 people in here going out, it doesn't matter, our vote doesn't count. No, your vote counts. Every vote counts, okay? So that means you need to come out and vote, whoever you choose, on October 15th, and the dance polls the 5th. But what I'm going to say is our own governance is beyond a single person and their desires. We are a collection of our pasts, our presents, and our futures. Each season, we have the opportunity for a new crop. So sow seeds of prosperity. Sow seeds of hope and optimism. That's why we need to build a shared vision of the village by consensus. That's why I ensure that every major decision by council has thoughtful and well-planned communication and consultation with the public. If you don't ask people around you, how will you know how things affect them? Vote for council and vote for Pouce Prosperity, okay? Have a good evening, everyone.
Marvin?
I am going to be retired in a couple of days, and I'm hoping that I can put in more time. I love having my portfolios in the last 4 years, and I would love to continue working for our village. Thank you very much.
That was Marvin Hebert. This is Barb Smith.
Hi. I'm hoping we can move forward and get business done in the village. I don't want to be the entertainment on Facebook. I'd like to reinstate question period so that if residents have questions, they can come to our meeting, partake, and face-to-face discuss with council their concerns. Please vote. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is James Wall. I'm sure most of you know. I'm running on crosswalk lights, get the bus into Pouce. We all pay parking tax, but we don't have a bus for some reason. So I'm running on that. I want to see more public engagement. Events like this, they've not so long ago, especially on big things like subdivisions and whatnot. I think we should have a lot of community engagement. I want to work together. Live in 51 Ave, my address and my phone number are right on the village office door. Please give me a call if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Okay, I'm setting up this time. I'm looking at you. All right. So first of all, I'd like to start off by thanking the residents of Pouce Coupe for giving me this opportunity to represent you for the last year, and thank you to the current members of council. It's definitely been an educational experience working with you guys, and I look forward to hopefully being able to do it again. So my name is Marcelo, by the way. So yeah, no, just thank you to the village for giving me this opportunity, and I hope that I can continue in this role to serve the community and continue to help grow the community. Thanks a lot for coming tonight. And I think I'm the last one, so we'll have to go ahead and have
So that's everything. Thanks for coming out. Obviously, if you guys really like some of this business, if you're not just a Pouce Coupe, but tomorrow night we're going to have the Sheila Dover, Darcy Dover chat at the Event Center at Fort Mercer Hall. And then next Tuesday, October 4th, is going to be our Dawson Creek Council debate. And then, we bet 1 second. And then just a reminder, advance polls, October 5th. E-Day across the province is October 15th. I don't know, what are you going to say?
I just want to say something real quick. I heard something. No, I just want to clear a misconception here.
What's a clear misconception?
The regional district did not take over Pouce Coupe without a referendum. I already talked to them about it because I have to say it, certainly I had.
I can see that. That's absolutely true. Yeah. It needs to be a referendum before we knock it back to county status. Absolutely true. Maybe this will Paris will come down and let us know. Thank you very much, everybody. No, what's that? Is it a question or?
Yeah, I got a question for everybody.
Question for everybody else for a leader.
I know this isn't your guys' full-time job, but if you guys get on, I think everybody's got to start acting a little more professional. I've been watching, I've lived here all my life. A lot of people in there know since I was a child, and this doesn't seem like the Pouce Coupe that I know. You guys seem to be infighting and stuff. You don't have to go for a beer with each other, but you gotta act professional while you're doing this. I grew up here, I'm raising my kids here, so I just want to know if you guys will work together no matter what, even if you don't get along.
Okay.
I should say cousin-in-law.
just under 2 hours, your Pouce Coupe council and mayoral debate. Advance polls are October 5th. E-Day across the province is October 15th. Get out and vote, but only vote once.